Okay.
It sounds the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so hi. Um, let's start backwards. Let's start with Imperial Gun and the Sir Barton. How's how's everything going? How do you ship in?
He's a nice horse that's run solid races, but we feel that he's capable of better. Little concerned, mile and a 16th, drawn widest. Hopefully he jumps away from there fairly well. Joel can use some of him to the first turn, and
Yep.
it's
Okay.
time for him to break through.
Okay. Very good. Are you concerned about a potential wide trip for him at all?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's he needs to use a little of him to avoid that,
Okay.
But I think that the horse stays on well enough that he can.
Okay. Let's talk about a little bit of a Maryland fan favorite, Jackson Traveler.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad to have what a cool horse Jackson Traveler is, and he's been back in the winner's circle with some regularity again this year, which is great to see. Bringing him back to Pimlico, probably the site of one of his more memorable victories.
Yeah.
And Flavia knows the horse extremely well. With a little age on him, he's gotten to be a little bit more quirkier about where he wants to be in a race. But given his best effort, he competes really well in there.
Okay. How's he been training out there?
He's a picture of health and always very proud of himself. He's a pretty boy, and he lets everybody know it.
All right, good deal with Jackson Traveler. Cats by 5 in the Chick Lang. This is a race that I see you win a lot, so kind of coming up with some heavy hitters there.
It is. It's obviously a very competitive race this year. Love Louis on Cats by 5. I think he'll suit the horse extremely well. He shipped in nice, went nice over the racetrack this morning. He does have one off-track race that was less than impressive, so we obviously, with his size, I'd rather him have a fast racetrack on Saturday.
I mean, do you think it's just let's dive into that off the track effort? Do you think anything outside of it being a wet dirt could have kind of?
But he's a very heavy horse, very large horse. I do think that the firm footing would help him.
Perfect. All right, let's go to Friday's card. Of course, Recharge. I saw her coming out this morning.
Yep.
Has she taken to the?
She went to it really well. It is a step up for her. Very concerned about her draw with it. A mile and an eighth, I think, will be every bit as far as she's ever going to want to run. I don't. Hopefully, she gets a good jump from the gate, so she doesn't have to be hustled too much. She ran beautifully for Joel in the Sunland Oaks and battled back on in that race. But this graded stakes try is a step up for her.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead. Pimlico Special. You have two.
Right.
Let's start with Red Route 1. Of course. How's everything going up?
Well, I think we've been very impressed with him as a 4-year-old. He was a very solid 3-year-old, traveled a lot, but mapping out more of a steady plan for him as a 4-year-old, stronger, more confident, obviously another year in a gun runner, getting better with age, but he is well intended for a race like the Pimlico Special.
I mean, yeah, we automatically look at the Oaklawn handicap. What's your take of what exactly went on? What's your take of the Oaklawn handicap for him in general?
It was a solid run, but he needs a little more pace to be effective than there. I think it's his win in the New Orleans Classic, plenty of pace up top, 46 and change. He took advantage of that. I do love the distance of the Pimlico Special for him, and he did run a solid fourth here last year in the Preakness.
Let's talk about Harlow Cat. What are your take on that inside draw? He hasn't seen that in a while.
Right. I'm very happy about him having an inside draw. I think that he can be very effective here at Pimlico if the racetrack plays traditionally. Love Paco on him. He just needs to step away from the gates cleanly, and he'll stay on nicely.
Okay, let's talk about the very 1 stakes. You go from we talk about a horse from the inside rail to the outside and the very
Yes.
1, but it's only 5 furlongs.
Well, which probably will make that wide of a draw more negative. You just cannot go that much further than everybody else. I'd be very surprised if we didn't catch a couple scratches out of a 13-horse field older mare turf sprint, though, especially with the weather. Even if they do run on the turf, it would most likely be soft.
Okay, so and if it does stay on the turf, you'll stay on.
Yes.
And then, so talk about what was the curiosity of just putting this filly on the turf?
Her pedigree. And we did move her to turfway. Very happy with how she's trained over synthetic. And the filly has some nice quality, but hoping the turf just gets us to the next level.
What did Brian Hernandez say coming off of her in that Giants Causeway effort?
Well, she didn't have much of a chance in the race, just traffic-wise. Never was in a comfortable position in the field, but I think she handles the going okay.
Okay, there we go. Miss Preakness Stakes for, let's see, sorry, I'm in between.
Closing act.
Yeah, no, I'm in between Equibase and then my notes.
Oh, okay.
I
Sorry.
use Theragraph, so I'm like scrolling. I'm
Okay.
like constantly scrolling. So yes, closing act in the Miss Preakness Stakes. What do we think of her draw?
Well, I think it's an ideal draw for her. She's a very versatile filly. She did miss the break a bit in her first race back, but it being against older statebreds, she was still able to overcome it. She was a little anxious that day, but with the race in her, she's going to move forward. She is a stakes winner as a 2-year-old in New York last year and is used to this caliber of race.
Yeah. Oh, talk about that was a nice professional effort in her first stakes win over in Astoria.
Right.
So just kind of she's cranked it up since then, right?
Absolutely. Gave her a nice break between her 2 and 3-year-old year, and I expect her to do really well.
So are you gonna expect her to, of course, try and go for the lead, but you'll be okay with her if she sits back?
I don't expect her to be on the lead, but not give them that much of a head start either.
Perfect. Okay, and then let's wrap things up with just better in the Hilltop Stakes. Frankie Dettorian. That sets up to be a nice race. But how's this filly coming in?
Really nice. Definitely deserving of this stakes try off a very decisive victory and off the turf, other than score at Keeneland, but she had broke her maiden on the turf. Definitely a turf pedigreed filly, but extremely versatile. Very athletic filly that I think that will run well, whether this turf is soft or not.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm scrolling through. We've got a little bit of speed on the outside. Where do you see her? I mean, she showed versatility on the turf.
Right.
Where do you see her being really comfortable?
I think that with her draw and stuff, she'll be covered up early, but she handles nicely.
Okay, Steve, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
That was awesome.
Okay, guys.